Okay, Dano, it is May 12th. It's 9:40 p.m. Eastern time.
That is correct.
And Dan and I have been talking for a couple hours. We just figured we'd record our thoughts on Elon Musk. And I find it, what I find disturbing is that one individual like this, Dan, can move a market as much as it did. I mean, we saw a dump on some coins of 20, 30%.
Yeah,
And even right now, a couple hours later,
amazing.
we're still looking at Bitcoin being down
8 divided by
yeah,
58.
12.5%. It just dropped back below $50,000. Now, my question is
Amazing.
number one, should people in the markets, if they have cash, should they be speculating on cryptos? I call it a speculation. Other people call it a necessity. But for me, it's a speculation. But should you be speculating? And if you see something that supposedly is going to $330,000 by the end of the year on some estimates, the lower estimates I'm hearing is saying it's going to double by the end of the year. So why wouldn't you buy more Bitcoin when it's hovering around $50,000? So these are my comments, questions.
Yeah. So what I would add to that is that I mean, here's the reality. This is not very popular. Look, where are people going to put their money? Savers are totally chastised, bastardized, not rewarded, whatever other words you can think of, right? The good old days of saving money, putting it in a money market account, a savings account, a CD, whatever. You're not rewarded whatsoever. If anything, you're penalized, right? I mean, what is the typical bank downstream from the Fed paying on a savings account or a CD? Nothing. Is it even 1%? But yet they still charge on their credit cards 20% APR, 6, 7, 8% on a car loan. Say it's a used car. Hell, what's it, 4 or 5% on a new car, even if you have good credit? Do you understand what I'm saying? So, I mean, they're making money hand over fist. So, and so they're wondering so the banks are wondering why now people are starting to leave them, particularly people 40 years old or 35 and younger. It's like the bank's not even on their radar screen. Geez, I wonder why. And to your point, I'll say one more thing. Yeah, I mean, if the overall gross assumption, if you will, is that Bitcoin's going to continue to rise over time, then yeah, it's a no-brainer in a way. Yeah, there's going to be peaks and valleys or whatever, dips along the way, but in general, it's doing this. Whereas in general, your money's doing this in the traditional banking system. Sorry, guys. I mean, what are we supposed to do? They're printing money like it's going out of style. Interest rates are basically at zero. If we're not careful, we're going to friggin' negative interest rates. And the banks pay people nothing. Oh, and, so and hyperinflation may be on the way. Wages haven't kept pace since the 70s. So what are people supposed to do?
With all of the energy that has gone into crypto, supposedly stealing gold and silver's thunder over the last year, now it's all going to be done? I don't think so. Whether you think it's a joke or not, there's just too much energy and too many people into it now that this thing's just going to crater. So if you, in my opinion, if you had $100,000 in the bank, as an example,
sure,
okay, why wouldn't you take $50,000, put it into Bitcoin? Tomorrow, if it bounces to 60, you just made 10 grand on that 50 grand you just put in.
Good point.
So you send your 50 grand back to fiat Bank Central, and you're left with 10 grand to do with what you will, speculate or whatever. I mean, these are the type, you see, we just were talking about, the old saying, be fearful when everybody else is greedy and be greedy when everybody else is fearful. You have to look at these things as opportunities until they're not. Like right now, a lot of people are going to buy the dips in the stock market, and they'll be right until they're not.
Yeah, that's a good point. How long can the market keep going up the way it's going up? You know, I guess the Fed keeps propping it up, right?
Well, that's
Everybody
it.
knows that.
We talked about this a year ago. You and I got our asses handed to us when they all of a sudden, remember that? Out of nowhere, all of a sudden, we didn't know what was happening. And all of a sudden, we're like, repo? What is repo? This was back in the fall of 2019.
Man. Oh, man.
Dan and I, we had been planning this. We were positioned perfectly to make a killing. And then the Federal Reserve came in and they boosted this, and we got shellacked.
Well, you know, the old football term, you got clotheslined, baby.
Yeah. Well, the bottom line is
blindsided, you whatever you want to say.
The bottom line is the Fed came in and they artificially altered the markets. And for those people who saw an opportunity to take advantage of that, they were crushed. and so why is that going to change now? Why is the Fed, until they're not able to? I find it hard to believe that the Fed and the U.S. government is going to lose control right now. It could happen, and it will happen eventually. Is today the day?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Is today the day? I don't think so.
No, I don't think today's the day. No, I think there's a while to go.
And so, if I mean, here's the thing. I mean, conservative people like we are, you know, we were trained to save. We're very good savers. We're very good workers. We're very good savers. But saving today and for the last 20 years has been penalized.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's penalized.
You have, like Dan said, you're on a trajectory like this if you're a saver.
Big time.
And that's why millennials are like, and even younger people today than millennials, they're like, you guys, thanks a lot for screwing us. And now they have to speculate. That's the only way these people get ahead. They have to. That girl that I'm hoping to have on is, you know, she was like, well, I took everything I had and I put it into these altcoins and cryptos, because she's like, where else am I going to put it? I have to do it. And if it goes to zero, then I'll make it back. But right now, the opportunities in this world are fewer and fewer. That when you see an opportunity, you have to take it. That's the type of desperation we're having.
Yes.
Plus, you know,
yeah, no, you're right. I mean, the situation has been, for lack of a better word, built in such a way through the movements of what's gone on the last few years. And they're going to use COVID as an excuse, by the way. That's just a grand excuse to all this as well, you know, for the big reset and stuff. But all this stuff was being put into play way before COVID, way before a year ago or so. I mean, anybody that knows anything knows that, right?
of course.
But
All these
they're going
bills
to use
were written
COVID to exacerbate this, you know.
It's the same thing they do with 9/11. They had the Patriot Act in the draw.
So, you know, we
Problem,
built this
reaction, solution.
Yeah. So the analogy I can think of is, you know, they keep slowly, I feel like, corralling us like this, you know, where, you know,
Dan, problem, reaction, solution.
You got to jump in the market. You got to jump into, you know, cryptos. You got to jump into taking chances. And it's
well,
good.
they know. Listen, we've talked about that. We've talked about this 100 times. The CIA has been around since World War II, and OSS before that. And the whole point is they know human psychology very well, so they know how to corral and herd the sheeple.
Absolutely, and what levers to push and pull and all.
They know fear. They know greed. They know how to move us, and so they know that if they take away the savings rate, they know that. I mean, that's people are going to put their, you know, you have boomers who have all their money in the stock market at 70 or 80 years
I was
old.
just going to say,
What are they doing?
Yeah. How old was this lady, this girl you were talking about that dumped everything into the altcoins, roughly?
30 years old.
I was going to say 25 or 30. So when I was just going to ask you, because you said that her comment was, well, if it goes to zero, I'll make it back. And I was going to ask, what's her age? My guess is under 35 because she's got time. The problem is if you're 50, 55, 65, 67, like a boomer, okay, you make that speculative move and you're wrong. What are you going to do at 67 or 59?
But that's the desperation level across all ages now.
I agree.
Because when we were 20 years old, the retirement calculation said, if you have $1 million, you can retire and live on the 7% IRR, the return. Back then
absolutely.
you could get 7%.
You were looking
on
at
safe investments.
6 to 8, yeah. And it would come in like clockwork, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yeah.
Now you're looking at friggin', 0.001.
Today you need $100 million in cash.
I was going to say
get that same return.
Yeah, that 1 or 2 million. I was listening to a finance guy the other day. It needs to be like 13 million or something. I mean, how many people are retiring with like 15, 20 million?
Well, more now.
It's probably, yeah. So, I mean, how many people are retiring with 30 million? I mean, give me a break, will you, please? Unless you're one of the
Well, how many people
1% elite.
How many people are retiring now?
Well, 1 out of 10, the last I knew, that are retiring adequately and properly, if you will. It's like 1 out of 10. It's a joke. It's a joke. That's why you see 74-year-olds in Walmart greeting. I mean,
or you see them moving to Mexico.
Well, okay, to your point, the expat community population, whatever it is growing. It is, because people are finally like, you know what, it's not working here. I'm probably going to live till 85 and I'm 63 now, or I'm 66. So I got 20 years to go, but I don't have 20 years of money, not even close, if I'm going to stay in the United States.
Yeah.
Because the United States has become a big friggin' ripoff. Okay. And it just astounds me how, and I love the United States. Look at everybody's, I love my country, but we have a lot of problems. We have a lot of systemic freaking problems, and they're not being addressed and fixed.
Let's not go down the rabbit hole here. Let's stay on point.
Well, I'm trying to stay on point. This is why people, to your point, are doing what they're doing, because they can't even retire anymore. So they got to go for the big gamble, right? They got to go for the Hail Mary.
Well, is crypto a gamble? I mean, or is it like a new technology that everybody at first is resisting that will now be like the telephone or the cell phone? It will now, I mean,
it's absolutely a new technology. It absolutely, in my opinion, because I have a technology background, has merits. It absolutely has use cases. Where it needs to be careful, in my humble opinion, is competing directly against and with the governments, aka in terms of fiat currency.
Well,
if it complements it in terms of use case, then I see fine. If it's going to diametrically come in and oppose the fiat currency, no. I mean, if you know human nature, what do you think the government's going to do? They're going to squash it like a grape.
Well, every big name in Bitcoin now is towing that line where they're calling it a store of value or a transfer mechanism. They're not calling it a currency because they do not want to wake up the governments.
Well, and it's not a currency either, based on what I know about it at a technical level, like the transactions per second, for example. It's not robust enough.
No, but think about this. Remember the fax machine? I mean, the fax machine really had a very short life in the realm of technology, but because now, our computers can, and even our phones can act as fax machines now, or people typically use email instead of fax machines now. Mm-hmm. So Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, it might be a very short transition, but I think it's a technology that is going to be used to transition the world to a digital world. I mean, let's face it, the younger generations have these things glued to the side of their heads. So, I mean, to them, this is like, I didn't grow up with one of these.
Or stuck in their paw.
Yeah, I didn't grow up with one of these things.
This
And
is the
neither
look.
did you.
This is the look I see everywhere.
Yeah, okay, but you did not grow up with one of these.
I did. I
Yeah.
transported. I teleported
No,
back
but
and
when
forth.
we went to college, our class was the first class at our college that required that we purchase a laptop computer. You remember that?
That's right. Back in the 1800s. I remember that.
Yeah. Well, that was
1886.
that was
1986.
that was revolutionary.
It was, man. That big ass HP. It had
Yeah,
a DOS
and the
2.0
thing would lock
or
up.
3.0 OS, and it weighed 40 pounds.
Yeah, and it would lock up if you looked at it the wrong way. You learned to save your files like every 30 seconds.
100%. I was running Lotus, a DOS-based Lotus spreadsheet.
Word 1.0.
Oh, it was ugly. It was ugly. I don't even know what the RAM was in it. Like,
Oh yeah, it's like literally this probably has more.
it was an 8086 or an 8088 processor or something obscene. I don't know what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, and it looked like one of those suitcases that the president guys carry around with the bomb coat.
Yes, Mr. President. Yeah. And it weighed, like I said, 43 pounds. You could work out with it.
But I'm saying that technology that's really the most deflationary event in our societies. That's what keeps the prices of things down.
Good point.
I mean,
Moore's Law. Absolutely.
Because back when we were in school, companies still had to have like X amount of office people to handle the ledgers and the transactions and this. And then you were able to go to one bookkeeper part-time for your company. When you used to have like 5 people doing all this paperwork.
Well, you'd have a massive AR and receivables department. Yeah, absolutely. Just doing in debits and credits all day long.
And these blockchain contracts, it could possibly eliminate the need for lawyers, real estate agents, right? All of these people who are taking a percentage of your pie, you'll now just be able to do a digital contract.
Yes.
On your own.
That is the purpose of
done.
this smart contract. Yeah, to essentially eliminate the broker or the middleman. Yeah, 100%.
We're only a few years away from that.
Oh yeah. 100%, unless it's totally annihilated, squashed out, which I can't see that, because the nature of technology is the proverbial horse out of the barn. Once the proverbial horse gets out of the barn, we all know the saying, right? At least most of us that are over 35 or whatever, right? It ain't coming back, Jack, or the train's out of the station, right? She's gone.
No, when society, and especially when business sees an application that's going to save them time and money, it's gone. They're going to adopt it.
I can reduce the workforce by another 20%.
Yeah. Or I now don't have to take eight hours of my week to waste on paperwork or to waste on this. I now can actually do productive activities.
Well, revenue generating activities versus expense
really
and administrative generating activities. Absolutely, 100%.
Yep. And that's why everything, like, you don't need the government, people. Like, if you had, this is the way I see social media mixed with technology is, and this is true democracy. If you're worried about like government, well, who's going to regulate this? Who's going to regulate that? Well, when you set up a certain ecosystem online, whatever that entails, everybody will know automatically not to go to this place because they just ripped off somebody. Or like what's going on with my father in this nursing home where they're mistreating him. Well, we're going to get that word out there, but that would happen instantly. And now that place would pay a penalty for their bad behavior.
Yeah.
I don't need to contact the government. I could just put it online.
That's a good point. That's an excellent point. Through the use of technology, through really peer-to-peer checks and
it's self-regulation.
Well, and what I would add to it is it's really peer-to-peer checks and balances in a way.
Everybody has one of these now.
That are real time or near real time, to your point, so that if good is being done and truth is being achieved, if you will, then the players are rewarded. You know, if otherwise is being done, malevolence versus benevolence, if you will, whatever, then you will be rewarded accordingly or punished.
Absolutely.
Right?
And
Right.
this is where, and it comes back to full circle. Instead of relying on idiots like Elon Musk, and he's not an idiot, but can do stupid things.
Well,
You rely on your own community again, Dan. Now, when I see a tweet or, now call it whatever, but all of a sudden I start seeing postings from people that I know and trust saying, yeah, I just had this bad experience. And then it spreads out like a ripple.
100%.
All of a sudden it becomes that much more powerful. You now have equal level as the New York Times. Because who is the New York Times? They're liars. They're cheats. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's where I see technology.
Well, it evens the playing field. It levels it out further, right? To your point. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, totally.
And that's what a lot of these cryptos are. These cryptos and the people who invest in the cryptos, they're really intense people. They do it for truth. They do it for the good of society, a lot of them. Now, a lot of them want to make money, don't get me wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
But the people who are actually running these programs, they have like Cardano. Cardano is about to, that's why I'm glad you got in, because Cardano is about to open up. July, August, they're going to start announcing all these new things that they have opening. It's going to basically turn that into a use case that starts being used around the world.
I absolutely believe in that use case, particularly the smart contract one. And
that's what they do.
Yeah.
Yep. And they're already doing it in Africa where now, like, you can't hack it protects your identity in such a way that it can't be hacked, number one, but also it allows you to prove who you are in a safe online way. It's pretty incredible stuff. And that's where technology is going to be beneficial for most of us. All right. You won't even need a bank.
Well, listen, I don't disagree with everything you're saying, but you won't even need a bank. Well, I agree, but don't tell the banks that.
Yeah, well, they're going to get ahead of it somehow. So the bottom line is I know more people now who are actually withdrawing all of their cash short of what they need for like 6 months of expenses, and they're putting it all into crypto.
Really?
Yep. Because they can always pull it out of crypto and back into cash.
Well,
because the bottom line is look at if you had taken that $50,000 out at the beginning of the year and put it into certain coins, you'd be up probably to $200,000-$300,000 right now. Minimum.
All right. Please don't use me as an example.
I'm not using you as an example.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm internalizing again. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, no, you're talking. You're thinking about your opportunity cost. What is it? Not opportunity.
Let's not go there. Yeah, I've got a big opportunity cost.
No, what's it called when you don't invest in something and it goes up without you?
FOMO.
No, that's when you chase it.
That's when you chase it. I don't know. I don't know what the term is.
Well, the bottom line is I'm not, I'm an older guy compared to these people I was meeting down in Mexico who were crypto millionaires. I couldn't believe how many of them I was meeting.
Really?
Yeah, I told you. I met 3 of them in one time.
Jesus.
Yeah, well.
I know you said 1. I don't recall 3. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
3.
Holy smokes, man.
3. One of them right at the house with me. They took like $180,000 at the beginning of the month when I was there. And by the end of the month, they pulled it out early. They pulled it out after a 3 times gain in like 3 weeks. But if they had waited, it had gone up like 7 times in a month. So they would have made $1 million on their $150,000 if they let it ride the whole month. Now, that type of return, that's extreme. And why are these type of extreme returns are happening is because think about it, is Bitcoin has been around for 10 years now, surprisingly. Okay. And it really started to get popular around 4 years ago, back in 2017, 2016, 2017
Yeah.
is when Bitcoin. And so now you have an adoption scale. And this is the thing people have to understand is as more people adopt it, with Bitcoin, you're limited to 21 million coins. Okay. And they estimate that 6 million of those coins have been lost. So now you're down to 15 million coins. Now you have people like Michael Saylor and other people who have bought, they estimate that 60% of the coins that are available are hodling. They're not selling. They're not trading. I read somewhere on one of these crypto articles, they said that there's only 2 to 3 million Bitcoin being traded actively. So what that means is as more people jump in, let's say a government comes in or another big corporation or, fill in the blanks, and they want to buy 100,000 coins. And this guy wants to buy 100,000 coins. Let's say China wants to buy 1 million coins, right? All of a sudden you can see what happens with supply and demand when the supply gets, dwindled and the demand goes up, Dan.
Yeah.
We're seeing that happen with wood right now, right? We're seeing
Certain
it happen with
different
commodities. That's what's happening with Bitcoin is the amount of coins out there are not, the price has to go up, which is what would be happening with silver and gold if the government and the banks were not keeping that down.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because what would happen is you would have fewer, you'd need to raise the price. And if actually central governments actually use gold as a hedge like they used to. So
as a backing, yeah.
In my opinion, there's a lot of reasons to question crypto because people look at it as, what's inside this thing, right? Just electronics. I mean, electricity, you don't see electricity, but you use it, right? And I think that if you don't dip your toe into crypto, just like I think everybody should own some gold and silver for emergencies, I think the same thing about crypto. I don't think you should do what some of these guys are doing, putting all your money into it. But I think that you need to, we already see that we have inflation on our dollars. Your dollars are going to be, this time next year, if gas is $5 a gallon, okay, or a gallon of milk is $5, you're going to see that you can't buy as much with your money.
Oh, the purchasing power continues to erode.
And so,
it has to.
And so where are you going to put your money to protect yourself from not eroding?
Yeah, it goes back to what we described earlier. It's like this across. On one hand, you got this opportunity, and the other hand, it's like, coming down or whatever. Maybe that was a bad.
Yeah. The only thing that I will say is if you do decide to do something like this, it's set it and forget it. So if you take $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, and you decide to put it into Bitcoin or Ethereum or Cardano or whatever you're putting it in, don't start checking the price every day or 10 times a day. Let it ride. Okay, that's the whole thing we're talking about. These are long-term speculations or investments, however you want to call it.
Mm.
So do not use money that you need for your rent next month or next year. Basically, take money that if you actually did lose it, it wouldn't kill you, but chances of it going to zero, in my opinion, are low. I think you have to at least get skin in the game. Even if you just take $500, if you can afford $500, instead of going out to dinner for a few nights, take the money and put it in there. Give up your bottles of wine for a few nights and put it into the Bitcoin. this is how I pay myself is I'm like, okay, well, I won't spend it on this. I'll take the money and do this. Right.
Yeah, I agree. And you don't have to go to freaking Starbucks every day. You can pay $5 for a latte or whatever it is.
Yeah. And like I've said in the video on the silver that I did, everybody has shite in their house they don't need. Something that you had never used, that gym equipment that you've never used, you use it as a laundry rack. Or,
You're right.
I mean, old office equipment,
Yeah.
furniture, there's
Yeah,
couches.
the average American household. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
You can find $1,000 in your house that you're not using quite easily.
yep. And then invested in these things.
And then if it goes to zero, you didn't lose anything out of pocket.
Mhm.
There are ways to do it. I guess what I'm saying is my thought is, I think the downside of not getting into this outweighs the risk of being in them.
I agree with that statement. I agree with that statement.
And on days, and this is the way, compared to when I first started trading to now, before I would be like, oh my God, it's going down. Oh my God. Right now it's like, okay, time to buy more on the things that you believe in. It allows you to lower your average, your dollar cost average.
Yep. Dollar cost average into it.
And then when it goes back up, you sell and you make a profit, or you just increase your position that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, because the other thing, if we go into cryptos on the other thing, if, if it's something that people are interested in, we can do a deep dive on some of these altcoins, but it's something, unfortunately, I really didn't put as much attention into this as I should have. And cryptos are one of these things that they'll be dormant for 9 months or a year or 2 years, and then they pick up. And all of this stuff was dormant until Michael Saylor bought all those Bitcoin, and then it started getting, and then the altcoins came to life at the end of last year and into January. And I was in Mexico and I wasn't really paying attention. And so I missed out. If you had gotten into altcoins in January, if you were blind and just threw a dart at the board, you made 10 times your money.
Kaboing. Seriously.
So now you have to be a little bit more selective.
True.
So what comments do you have? And then we can end it, roll it up.
No, I mean, well said. That's why I was listening intently. I think you made a lot of good points. I mean, I guess the ultimate takeaway is that there's more risk, or I guess opportunity cost, in not participating.
Well, do you agree with this statement or not?
Versus participating.
Do you agree with this statement or not? It's our number one responsibility to, number one, protect our wealth, and then to grow it.
Yeah, at a micro household, family, whatever level, community level.
Anybody should be focused on protecting your wealth and growing it.
Couldn't agree more. However, the issue is and that's why the wealthy are the wealthy. That will be my diatribe or dissertation or whatever. They teach their children real young about how to make money work for you, and how to think about intently what it is you're buying, such as, am I buying an asset or am I buying a liability? Most people buy liabilities. The middle class and the lower whatever, they don't even talk about money with their kids because it's like a taboo. But the reality is, I said this today, I had a conversation with somebody.
And the wealthy know when to rotate their money very well.
Well, 100%. Yeah. But they start educating their kids probably at, 4, 5, 7, whatever. Like I said, the middle class and whatever, they don't even talk about it, right? It's like a taboo. But guys, the bottom line is, to add to what you're saying, Dave, is we live in a financial world. Okay. Until that changes, maybe in the 22nd or 23rd century or something, until that changes, it's a financial world, and you have to be financially fit and savvy, and you have to do the things, Dave, that you just talked about. Particularly if you're a married man with a family, right? I mean, that's one of your core duties, but we don't really teach that.
Do you think most people in our society are feeling the pressures of inflation yet this year?
I think they are I'll answer it this way, twofold. I think they are feeling it, but they're not realizing it, the bulk of people. Things are ticking up. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe when it comes to certain things, actually, I was talking to my mom the other day, and she brought it up. She said, I'm noticing food. It's creeping up. It's creeping up. It's creeping up. So I think in certain areas, people are noticing. I guess
they haven't noticed house prices going up $100,000.
Yeah, they've noticed that.
They think they're geniuses.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Nothing to their house, but their house is now worth 20% more.
Yeah, that's been going on for like 2 years now, right? Houses are
That's called inflation.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're right. I mean, you haven't done a major upgrade or anything.
Stock market, Tesla goes to $1,000. That's inflation.
Yep. Everything is inflating.
Cryptos, inflation. That's why the money's going in there. They're trying to escape.
Yeah.
Find a safe haven.
Well,
and here's the other thing that I wanted to say is a lot of the people who are into silver and gold have been saying, they're trying to deny it, but there's no doubt about it in my mind. Cryptos have stolen silver and gold's thunder up to now over the last year, okay, to a large extent. And here's what I think is going on right now with the stock market. Is it possible that cryptos are starting to steal the stock market's thunder?
Yes.
Absolutely. Now the money's going out of the stock market saying, what, 10 times in a month? I'm going in.
Yeah, I was going to say, take your average, 25-year-old or whatever, right? That's all they've ever known. But, technology and seeing the market going up the way it's been a 45-degree wedge forever. And then now you see the returns you see with the cryptos, right? I mean, who wants to wait around anymore? You can't even afford to. I'll wait for my 6.3% for the year. I mean, when something can go up 6.3% in a freaking day.
Or down.
That too. Absolutely. But with the returns possibilities that you do have, it's what you said earlier. It behooves you, even if it's $500, $1,000. You got to jump in. You have to jump in and.
Well, Jim Willie on one of our videos last summer said, get into Theta. And I recommended it to some people. And I know one guy who put $1,000 into Theta and he grew it up to over $100,000 in a couple months, 6 months, I think.
I know another guy that put $100 into it and it went over 10 grand.
Yeah, I know him too.
Still pretty good.
I know him too.
He's a handsome bastard, by the way.
Yeah. But it's funny. The guy calls me out. He's like, hey, wow, I really did well with that Theta. Do you have any more? And I sent him a list. And I went back and I looked at the list. The ones that I gave him are up like 1,000. Every one of them is up like 1,000% since I gave them.
You're the man.
Well, I just took a dart and I said, no. You just want with the major. Now, some of the ones I didn't even know about.
Yep.
But I mean, the thing that we've talked about though, Dan, is when you're buying something at 14 cents, you have a lot of upside versus buying it at $14.
No doubt about it. And let's say something at 14 cents or, 0.02 or whatever, you throw in $500, you throw in $1,000, you get a boatload of coins. And then if it ever takes off, like the Doji, chaboing!
Yeah, the Dogecoin was 0.008 cents, right?
Something like a year ago or something.
We'll say a penny.
It wasn't even quite a penny.
No, it was like September. Yeah. It was like a penny.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's gone up.
If you had just said, I mean, I know nobody likes to lose $1,000, but you got to this is the difference. Look at the upside versus the downside. If you
I
said,
agree.
okay, I
That's a
can
good
take
point.
$1,000, and if Dogecoin goes from a penny to 70 cents,
Oh,
my
70 times.
1,000 just went to 70 grand. So
Will
you're
you-
like,
Right.
so if I said, hey, Dan, bet $1,000, your upside 70 grand, your downside is 0. I think most people are going to take that gamble.
Well, yeah, but keep in mind, I mean, you at the time you're doing it, you have no idea that it could go.
Oh, no. It's truly
70
a
fold.
gamble.
Yeah.
And that's where
Well-
I've gotten on Dan on this, and this is where I identify Dogecoin. Back then it didn't know, but once you saw Elon Musk and Mark Cuban get in, bam. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for people who are bringing this to the attention of people who want these type of opportunities. So there are some other coins who are being pumped by certain influencers. And instead of running from that, realize that that's going to push the price up because it's only going to get it in front of people. And that means that if 100 people look at it, 3 are going to be like, why not? I read the use case. And then even if they don't read the use case and agree with it, some people are going to be like, hey, it's $100. It's $500. Enough people do that.
The moral of the story is be like the Marines and run towards it. Not away. Seriously, all kidding aside.
Yeah, and so even the most conservative person today in this world, the way it is right now, because there is no conservative investment now. Like where is a conservative investment? Bonds, cash, gold, silver? There is nothing. Property? Wait till you have to pay those property taxes.
Well,
so you have to get comfort. You have to get comfortable with saying, I'm going to take 10% of my portfolio, or whatever number. Some people, it might be 50%, like that girl. Might be 50% or 100%. Say, I'm going to speculate with this because the upside is just, in history, things come and things go. And right now, we're at a point in time where I think you have to be in cryptos right now. You have to be. 6 months, it might be different. But right now.
Yeah, well, particularly at this point in time and particularly last 2 or 3 months or whatever. Absolutely.
The last 2 years, it was the stock market.
Yeah, they may be starting to steal some of the steam a little bit, maybe. Yeah. Because again, and then the returns that some of these coins are providing, I mean, it's unprecedented. Where have we seen such returns? I think in human history, you haven't. I mean, 50% something does something. You hear 100%, 500%, 3,000%, 4,000%. It's like common now, semi-common.
Well, with Tesla stock, okay, I mean, Tesla has never made a profit in their ever from their operations. They've only made profits from tax incentives and tax credits. Okay. Yeah. So, and they're losing market share around the world, but eventually Tesla is going to actually have to sell cars that actually hold up and don't fall apart and don't kill people. And their sales are going to have to actually increase to justify their valuation. Whereas a crypto, it's just going to be, it's like a marketing thing where crypto, it's just going to be how many people are actually buying it versus selling it. And as more people get involved, that's what I'm trying to say is people are still early getting in now. You still are getting in on the ground floor. Yep. You're not on the bottom floor, but now you're on the second or the third floor.
Of the 10-story building or whatever, right?
Yep.
Or maybe, what do you think if put it in baseball terms, 9 innings, you think we're in the second inning, something like that, first or second? You don't think we're in the third, do you?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're in the third or the fourth inning.
Oh, really?
On some of them. Some of them. on the big boys like Bitcoin, I think I know there's a lot of people bashing Bitcoin. You have to realize you have major players pumping billions and trillions, not even billions, trillions of dollars are now into Bitcoin. And they have it there as a safety net against the US dollar because they see the dollar going like this.
Well, yeah, I mean, for investment and investment operations, I mean, for any companies that have significant amount of cash on their balance sheet, like maybe Microsoft or Apple,
Apple could buy all of Bitcoin.
Or Facebook, they're probably another one. I mean, what are you going to do? Let these hundreds of millions or billions of dollars in cash just sit there and do the erosion dance over time?
And what do you think is going to happen to the price of Bitcoin if Apple, if they were smart, they wouldn't announce it, they'd just do it, surreptitiously.
Dives in. I've got to believe. Boingo.
Yeah, and what if a government starts buying it, like the Austrian government? The Austrian government's already buying Apple stock. And
really?
Oh yeah. So why wouldn't they buy Bitcoin?
Absolutely. How about Cameroon? What about them? I just threw that out there.
No, come on, Dan. No, I'm serious. Austria is already buying stock.
No, I believe you. Yeah.
Japan is already buying their stock market. So why wouldn't the government of Japan buy Bitcoin?
Absolutely. True statement about Japan.
The Federal Reserve, why wouldn't they buy Bitcoin? They're already buying
everything else.
Yeah. They own, the Federal Reserve owns, I don't know what the number is. It's like trillions of dollars of mortgage-backed securities. They already own more homes than anybody else in the United States. So why wouldn't they buy Bitcoin?
Why not buy some Bitcoin, baby?
What I'm trying to say is it's going to happen. And the Bitcoin price at $50,000, as scary of a number that is, and it is a spooky number for most people.
Absolutely.
I'll bet you there's probably a percentage of the population that does not make 50 grand a year.
Yeah. I mean, what's average household income in the United States? Isn't it like 60 grand household income?
I have no idea what it is, but
it's only like $50,000.
But $50,000 is a lot of money for most people.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. No doubt about it. I mean, how many people can cough up 50 grand to buy a Bitcoin? I mean, really? I mean, that's a lot of money.
We always hear those stories where people don't even have $500 in the bank.
Yeah. We've heard many times was it 40% of Americans, not to bash my fellow citizens, but if they're in an emergency, they can't write $1,000 check.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty scary. Right?
Well, what stock in the stock market today would you have any? Think about it. Like if I said to you, Apple stock, Walmart stock, Tesla, Google, pick your stock, or Bitcoin. I don't know. Bitcoin is sounding safer and safer compared to those. The only advantage to those other stocks is they pay a dividend.
Okay, agreed. But total upside potential. I mean, Bitcoin is proven throughout its existence. If you had just bought it and kept it, the returns are just astronomical.
In the last 10 years, there's been nothing else in the markets that has outperformed Bitcoin in the last 10 years.
Nothing. It's blown everything away, including all these companies.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it took what, Apple 20 years to get the market cap it got, or 25 years. It took Amazon, 15? It took Facebook, 10 or 12 or something, not even more than that. It's taken Bitcoin, how long to get to cryptos, I guess, 2 trillion plus market cap.
Yeah, they got Bitcoin got up to 20 grand back in 2017, then it crashed in 2018.
Yeah.
And then it got back up over 20 grand last summer, fall.
Yeah, I forget the numbers, Michael Saylor or whatever.
Yeah, I think it was September.
He articulated it quite well, but to your point, nothing has kept pace with it over the long haul.
Well, it truly is a long-term investment.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to go It's going to have its ups and downs. We agree. But you look at the overall trajectory where it started to where it's at.
So that's what I'm saying is, so today Bitcoin was at $64,000 a month ago. If I remember correctly, it got down to 47 or 48 an hour ago. So why wouldn't you be buying right now? Why wouldn't you be buying?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Based on the history, that's true.
I'm asking a question.
No, you're right. If you look at the big picture, its overall history from inception to now, it's proven that over time it's a winner.
If you have cash that's sitting there doing nothing, or even if you're invested in, I mean, I have seen probably a couple dozen people who have sold all their gold and silver online. I've followed them online. They've sold all their precious metals and they bought Bitcoin anywhere from a year ago, 2 years ago, some as recently as 6 months. Do you think they made the right decision?
Definitely so far. Big time.
Especially the ones who did it like a year ago.
Big time.
Like 9 months ago. They've captured the whole move. They've gone from 10 grand up to now 50 grand, 5 times in a year. And I mean, see, this is what I'm saying is as a person who invests money, or even if I'm just a regular stiff, the mistake that I made, and unfortunately I'm too old to go back to when I was 20. I wish I could go back and tell, and that's why I try to tell my nieces and my nephews and any young person I meet, you will get more rewards taking your time and energy and putting it into your own investment portfolio than working for some Indian, French, or American company who doesn't give two shits about you and will lay you off tomorrow when you become expendable. So if instead of working 10, 12 hours a day for somebody else, take an hour or 2 hours a day and put it into your own future. You have to do that, folks. That is what I did not do because I was too busy working. I was too busy saving. I was too busy trying to climb that ladder.
Me too.
And then I threw it in some index fund that did crap. And it's because I never thought, as most young people, I never really thought much about my retirement. Yeah, I took the full, I took the matching from the company I was working for, et cetera, et cetera. But when you're young, it doesn't really build up that quickly. But back then the markets weren't what they are today. With what's going on today, with what's going on today, it might be gone in 6 months. But when you see an opportunity to benefit yourself, your family, and your future, you have to do it. You have to push that fear aside, and you have to do it.
Yeah, well said. And I battle it myself, Dave. I'm just guilty as the next guy. I battle with the fear too. Yep, it's true. But you're right. I can't deny the debate.
Well, you know how I get around the fear? This is all I tell myself. Yeah. Okay, I'm 50 whatever years old. 50. I'll be 54 this year, or
54, but still whatever it is. But still stunningly debonair.
But anyways, my point is, in 20 years, 30 years, I'll probably be dead or dying. And well,
what an outlook.
Well, it's a reality. It's a reality. I mean, statistically speaking, or sooner, who knows?
Gumming applesauce, will we be?
The bottom line is now is the most important time. This, you know what I'm saying, is I don't want to be like these people who are like, well, I'm going to wait until I retire and then I'll focus on this or that. No, I try to do it today.
You know what?
Whatever it is.
You nailed it. You remember Apollo Creed from the Rocky movies? I think it was Rocky 2, where I'm dating myself, and some of the younger people probably won't even know what the hell I'm talking about, but probably
everybody knows Rocky.
45, 50 and older will know for sure. The second movie where Apollo Creed,
the rematch,
was training Rocky, and Rocky had lost it for a while.
That's number 3.
Was that 3?
Yeah, okay. When he went up against the black guy with the crew cut.
Yeah, what's his face?
Mr. T.
Yeah, Mr. T.
No, number 2 was the rematch. Number 3 was when Creed was retired. And he
And
was
Creed-
training Rocky.
And he was training Rocky, and Rocky lost it mentally and stuff for a while. He just didn't have the
Yeah, and
fire.
Burgess Meredith fell down. He got pushed down the stairs and he died.
Yeah, and so Rocky was he was trying to train Rocky one day, and Rocky was just really lethargic and not into it mentally and physically, just out of it. And Rocky made a comment to him like, "Okay, yeah, tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow." And Creed yelled at him.
Running
like,
out of tomorrows.
he didn't say that. He yelled at him twice, and he said, "There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow." And that's always stuck with me. You know, even though it's a movie, you know, he's like, "There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow." You know, I
Might
guess
not be.
that was his way of saying, you know, you can't take that tack because there may not be a tomorrow, like you just said, Dave. We're not guaranteed tomorrow, I guess what I'm saying. None of us are guaranteed tomorrow. None of us.
Yep.
And so that character line just, it's always,
And investing, it's
when I've got to kick myself in the butt to do something, that sometimes that just kicks in, you know. It's like, do it now, man. Do it now.
well, there's no guarantees in life. Even if you put your money in Tesla or Apple, that you could theoretically lose all that. Probably not going to happen, but you could.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And the same thing with any of these cryptos. It's risk versus reward. Yet these are the chances you have to take. When
I totally agree. Yeah,
like
you got to step up to the plate and take a few swings, man. You have to, because otherwise the opportunity cost of not doing it is.
Yeah, and my point is, in 30 years, it's not if like if that girl had lost all her money instead of making $500,000. Yeah, I mean, it would have been bad, but she would have been alive, and she would have been able to, you know, move on from that.
Well, especially at her age, she's got time to recoup. So you go back to working and saving up a couple of more bucks and do it all over again, I guess.
Yep.
That's worst case scenario, I guess, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there is no. I mean, I'm not saying to go to gamble on red or black, and there's no easy.
Yeah.
It's identifying opportunities as well. All I'm saying.
Well, no, you're right. Taking the time to study and learn and discern, because, you know, and I got to go in a minute, but we live in a world that, you know, we're just overly distracted. And what you said earlier too, you know, you're working 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, slugging it out and essentially fulfilling somebody else's dreams. And so that when you reach a point where you're no longer as valuable or needed or whatever, they're not going to hesitate to pull the proverbial trigger, right?
Yeah. Well, we've talked about this in past videos. I mean, most people
Ad nauseum. Yeah.
most people lock themselves into a bad situation. They tell themselves that they have to do it so that they can have their house and they can have their TV and they can have whatever perks they have. When these days, there are probably better opportunities and much freer, but everything requires risk and effort.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I can't think of anything that's totally risk-free or totally risk-averse, I guess. The level of risk.
One thing I want to say.
Mhm.
When I went to Mexico, I started writing a book. I sent you did you see the cover I sent you on, I sent you the picture of the cover.
An email?
No, on WhatsApp.
Oh, geez, I'll look at it. No, I haven't seen it. Did you send it today?
Yeah, like 8 hours ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm running behind.
Yeah. Well, I bury you with a lot of stuff, but that's how much stuff I review.
You do. That's a true statement. I mean, it's like drinking from a fire hose. Here we go.
Yeah, I consume data, man.
Oh, you're voracious. Yeah, you do.
But,
you do. You destroy data.
Yep.
You shred it.
But my what I'm trying to say is,
Yeah.
So, I've got 8 chapters done. I have more than that, but I've finalized 8 chapters.
That's awesome, dude.
So
that is awesome.
what I'm going to try to do is somebody asked me to do another silver raffle. So I'm going to do something like a silver raffle or something like that. And what I might do is I might do something with the book as well. So that's going to be coming up.
Oh, wow. Give away some free copies.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, we'll see. Well, I haven't figured out what we're going to do.
Will you give
But
your
it's
buddy
an
Dan a
interesting
free
book.
copy?
The book's about a guy who ended up buying Bitcoin back in 2000 and
Oh, you're killing me. Stop, please.
2011. Bought Bitcoin in 2011.
At .00001
$4 a Bitcoin. Yeah, but the book. Yeah, the book. It takes place in 2017.
Bitcoin was $4 then.
Yeah.
God Almighty.
Yep. You'll have. I'm not going to give the book away. But maybe what I'll do is one day I'll read like the first chapter of the book.
Okay.
So, but
okay, cool.
let's see here. I have here. I'll show you.
Now, what's your pen name? Bill Cooper.
Yeah, Bill Cooper. Michael Hunt is my pen name.
Oh, you are a total juvenile.
You can call me Michael.
You are a total juvenile. Totally.
My car is out in the parking lot.
I can't believe
Will they page me if my car's in the parking lot?
What a total jaboingo.
Yeah, this is the cover to the book.
Oh, I saw that. Agua Sangre.
Yeah, the book is called Agua Sangre.
Sangre.
Blood water.
Agua Sangre.
Blood water.
Yes.
Life is what happens while you're making other plans.
I did see that today, by the way. I did see that. I didn't know it was.
That's my book, man.
That is the Mac Daddy. You're like an author. I'm talking to like an author, man.
I'm not. It's got 8 chapters, but it's 92 pages. 8 chapters.
You're still an author. You've just authored 92 pages and counting.
Well, listen, I had always wanted to write a book, but I was like, the thing I could never get past is like, I love reading. And I would like read like a fun book, and then I'd read like a technical book or two.
Yeah.
But I always like to mix it up, not just read all technical.
Yeah.
And I'd read these dramas or whatever, or these fantasy books or whatever. And I'd be like, these guys are so incredible. They can like describe the man walked in, he had curly blonde hair and his coat was blue with yellow buttons, whatever. The detail that they got into. I'm not that way. I mean, I'm detail oriented, but not like that where I'm that observant.
Yeah.
But then I was out on the beach walking one day down in Mexico, and I had an epiphany. I said, you know what these dudes do and girls?
Oh.
If they wanted to write about something, they go there and then they write what they're looking at.
Didn't Hemingway do that?
Well, whoever it is, I said, even an idiot like me can do that, because now I'm looking at it and I just write, okay, the sky has hues of peach and gold.
Please, whatever you do, don't go to the beach in Euro briefs and write about that.
Oh, no, I go nude. Yeah, there you go.
Nice. But like Peter Sellers with the guitar.
Yeah, actually.
Strategically placed.
There is a video of me when I got caught in the wave, and it actually.
Oh, no.
It took my clothes off.
At least it wasn't in the wind.
And I had the GoPro. And the GoPro has me in like the spin cycle in this wave for like over a minute.
Oh, God.
I'm lucky I didn't drown. And then I get out. And thank God the video, I must have cropped it because I was totally nude walking down the beach.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like disoriented. I was like, wow, I almost died.
Oh my God.
So any final comments on anything we talked about? I'll have more about the book, but it just, I sent it out to a few people. I think it's a pretty interesting story because it talks about a guy who basically the gist of it is he bought the crypto.
Mm-hmm.
He went to Mexico. He put the crypto in his safe. He didn't think about them. He went to Mexico and he met these European guys who told him that Bitcoin was up to $10,000. And he's like, Bitcoin's at $10,000, and he's thinking to himself, I bought it for $4. How many Bitcoin do you think that my character bought?
For $4?
Yeah. But it was nothing. He didn't even know what it was then.
100 anyway.
He bought 1,100 of them.
1,100.
So imagine 1,100 times $1,000.
Or
$10,000. 10,000.
Yeah. Well, $1 times is 10. $10 is 100. $100 is a million. So
Yeah, you're talking $10 million.
Jaboingo.
So imagine finding out, Dan. Imagine you just found out you had $10 million. Well, how would you feel?
Ecstatic.
Would you?
Grateful. Yeah.
Would you? You wouldn't
Well,
be scared. You wouldn't be scared shitless.
Maybe a little bit, but I'd be ecstatic as well. But you make a good point. I would be on one hand ecstatic, but on the other hand, I would be scared because it's like, okay, what do I do with it now? How do I protect it? Oh, by the way, if other people find out,
and is it going to change your life? Right, like these guys who win lotteries and they end up miserable.
Well, yeah.
So this guy was scared shitless.
Right.
He was like, because this is a guy who has grown up and lived with no money. He's a musician and an artist. So he's used to having no money. And now he's like, ah.
Well, that could be a system shock, 100%, since you put it that way. Yep. That would be a system shock. I mean, you throw 10 grand at a guy like that, that's probably like, never mind 10 mil.
Yep. And then when he was in Mexico, as he was trying to ponder this, like what happened, life is what happens while you're making other plans. He runs into a narco party. So it gets very interesting.
Okay.
Because what most people don't know, I'll bet you don't even know this.
Probably don't.
In the hills near where I stay, up in the mountains, they grow poppies and they grow coca.
Cocaine.
So you don't have to go to Afghanistan for your poppy, for your heroin anymore. You go right down to Mexico.
Oh, thank you. I'll put that on my Wheaties.
And if you happen to go into one of those no-go areas that as a foreign tourist you may not know, guess what happens to you?
Not good things, maybe.
You disappear.
That's not too good.
Yeah. So that's what the book. So this poor guy, he's now you're like, I'd be ecstatic. Well, that's a guy who's never faced that issue, right? This guy.
Maybe I wouldn't.
This guy is scared shitless. He doesn't know what to do. He's sitting there contemplating. He's minding, and then he falls into a life-changing event that could cost him his life. So,
good
and
point.
then the story spreads out because it also talks about the monetary system and why Bitcoin is so necessary today in the book.
Excellent. I'll have to read it. Agua Sangre, everybody. I'm plugging it. Sagra Angre. Agua Sangre.
Yeah. We can just call it blood water.
Blood water in English.
Right. Blood water.
No.
So finished thoughts on cryptos or Bitcoins or so if anybody wants us to talk more about Bitcoins or cryptocurrencies, Dan actually is much more versed in cryptos than I am. I am a late bloomer compared to a lot of people. Dan actually reads the white papers and studies these things.
Let's not get too ridiculous, but sometimes I do.
So
I'm a wild and crazy guy. I like to do that on Saturday nights, by the way.
Yep.
Over a couple of beers. Right.
But does Dan have the courage of his convictions? That's the thing. Is just because you're convicted, that's how you really truly. I've always said in all my videos, you'd never listen to people's words. You judge them by their actions. So you hear these guys saying, "Oh yeah, I would do this. I would do this." but are they actually using their own money?
He just went
You know,
for my
are they actually
thorax.
doing something?
Oh,
Yeah. Because I mean, if somebody says they love you and then they're out doing things that are opposite of I love you, then you know that they're full of malarkey. So,
I
okay.
agree totally. I agree totally. No, I agree totally. No, you're right. A lot of people in this world, and I can be probably guilty sometimes, like the next guy, they talk the talk pretty good, pretty well. But when it comes time to walk it, it's a different story.
All right. Well, I'll let you have the last word.
I guess the ultimate word of wisdom is, guys, just to recap or summarize, overcome the fear. Easier said than done. You have to jump in to cryptos, even if it's 250, 500, or $1,000,
Yeah, you don't have to go all in.
because the upside far exceeds the downside.
I would recommend starting small. Get your toe wet, get comfortable with it. Because I've told Dan this 100 times. Is I can tell you for me, and I'll bet most people, when you put some skin in the game, all of a sudden it becomes real. All of a sudden you start paying attention to it a lot more, and you start to really track it and learn it a lot better than if you're paper trading it.
There's a lot of truth to that, because the real-time hits on the field are a little bit different than the, academic hits, if you will.
Yep.
No doubt about it.
Yep.
So no
But
doubt
on any
about it.
long-term investment, if you start with $100 and it drops, there's your chance to add to it.
Yep.
And now you have to know your investment, and certain investments you don't want to add to when it drops. But on this, with the volatility, that's how you basically increase your value, by adding when it's down. Because then when it bounces, so like Bitcoin, if somebody added like $5,000 to Bitcoin, they picked up 1/10 of a Bitcoin for $5,000. When Bitcoin goes to $100,000, that $5,000, right? It's now going to be worth 10 grand. So that's how quickly it can move.
Yep. Excellent points. Another good one, man. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Awesome.
Yeah. So we'll see. We've got some interesting people in the hopper. We'll see if we can get them on. But until then, next time I'll talk more about the book and maybe the silver giveaway or raffle.
Definitely looking forward to both of them. Agua sangre. Agua sangre.
Buenas noches.